That's important because
Sir,
Hunter
did
Biden
anyone
has
ever
claimed that he didn't
Can you answer my
respond to it,
questions?
and he responded to
Okay.
it. I believe
You're
3
just going to
times.
filibuster. I reclaim my time that's running out, but I will say no one responded to the big guy reference for 10.
Thank you
So
for making my
what-
point. They didn't have to respond
Right.
because
And
they
then,
all knew the big
sir,
guy was Joe
I
Biden.
reclaim my time. Mr. Chairman, please control the witness.
Well, you know better, Mr. Goldman.
Okay, go to page 174 of the transcript, and you said it's not an accurate statement. It's a lie related to an FBI report.
I didn't call them
Sorry,
liars.
I don't
The
have time.
statement
Be
is a lie.
quiet. Instead of actually participating in negotiations on legislation, they spent the last couple months trying to impeach the Secretary of Homeland Security. And one of their arguments is that he was violating the law in failing to detain everyone who came over the border and would be subject to detention. In your experience working for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is it actually feasible to detain everyone who would qualify under that statute?
Sir, we're talking about the detention of hundreds of thousands of individuals. Just the safety risks alone, logistics, staffing, security, et cetera, it would be monumental in hundreds of billions of dollars.
This is a game for these folks. Sure, they want to support their guy. They don't care about America. They don't care about what the president's doing to destroy America. They're just locking arms to support their guy. And God bless them, they can do that. If you want to vote for people that do that, that's your right. Mr. Biden is not special. He was given a subpoena. He should have appeared. He chose not to. We have no choice. We have no choice if we are to uphold our oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States.
The fact of the matter is that subpoenas should apply equally. And for my colleagues to actually claim that we on this side of the aisle are hypocritical because we will not vote to hold someone who has made every effort to comply in every way other than the specific means of providing the evidence is somehow should be held in contempt when 3 members of this committee refuse to comply in any way, shape, or form with a court-determined lawful subpoena is beyond me. The fact of the matter is that this committee, which may go down as one of the most useless and worthless subcommittees ever created by Congress, is called the weaponization of the federal government. And the reason we all know now that this was created and stood up is that the Republicans are trying to flip the script and to distract from the fact that the true weaponization of the federal government with evidence and facts and support was done by Donald Trump and his administration and will be done by Donald Trump and any future administration. What we should be focusing on is Chairman Jordan abusing the power of his committee in the Congress to subpoena state prosecutors in an effort to undermine their prosecutions of his revered friend, Donald Trump. That is no place for Congress to be, no place for the committee to be. That is a true weaponization of the federal government.
Madam Speaker, I rise in strong support of HRES 863, impeaching Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. He has violated his oath of office and breached the public trust by willfully refusing to ensure the laws passed by Congress and signed into law by the President are faithfully executed as required by Article 2 of the Constitution. He has allowed over 10 million illegal border crossers to invade our country, approximately 2 million of whom are known gotaways. These are people who have completely evaded U.S. authorities and are roaming the interior of the American communities, assaulting, raping, and murdering Americans. And God help us if we have a terrorist attack on our land.
I rise today to condemn this rushed, baseless, sham impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas that will go down in history as one of Congress's darkest moments. The Republican argument for impeachment boils down to their view that Secretary Mayorkas has intentionally caused the influx of immigrants over our southern border. Never mind that even if true, this is not a high crime or misdemeanor that has ever been used before in the history of our country. The reason for this partisan stunt is simple. Donald Trump and House Republicans want to use the border as an election year issue rather than actually solve the problems through necessary legislation. My colleague from Texas, Mr. Fallon, said this at the end of his 5 minutes, is he questions whether or not the Biden administration is serious about addressing the problems at the border.
When you have these liberals that virtue signal about we're a sanctuary state, we're a sanctuary city, okay, then you house these folks in your states and in your cities, and for those folks out there that believe the Biden administration's policies of immigration, and the folks here on this panel, in this committee hearing, then you put them in your homes. Instead of being limousine liberals that it's somebody else's problem, you can either address this problem or pretend it doesn't exist by keeping your heads in the collective woke sand. And if you don't address it, you're going to rue the day you didn't.
Well, it's quite ironic because right now, this very day and for the last 5 weeks, the Biden administration, the White House, and Secretary Mayorkas have been negotiating with a bipartisan group of senators to actually address the problems at the border. But you know who hasn't been involved in that? House Republicans. And instead what they are doing, as you just heard from Ms. Green, is trying to impeach Secretary Mayorkas for his failure to address the border while he is negotiating to address the border. And then, even if there is a bipartisan agreement in the Senate, the Republican leadership in the House has already determined that it is dead on arrival. They haven't seen the agreement, but they just know that it's dead on arrival. Does that, Mr. Beer, sound to you like someone or some party or some group of people who are trying to address the problems at the border?
Look, this administration has been trying from day one to get attention of Congress to try to pass immigration legislation, and they've gotten no takers.
What this committee has been trying to do for the last year and a half is to chill the federal government from monitoring what is going on social media and otherwise out there so that misinformation and disinformation can run rampant on Elon Musk's social platform and every other social platform so that the Republicans, can benefit from it in November's election.
I think the gentleman from New York just said that we're trying to chill the federal government. I don't know if it's ever been said that way. It's always the government trying to chill Americans' rights and chill Americans. I've never seen anything. It's called projection. I've never seen anything like the government is the one who chills American speech when they pressure big tech to censor, when they ask banks to give them. That's chilling speech, and we've seen it first. Dr. Peterson's seen it in his own country, and now it's coming here. That's what we're concerned about.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I only have 5 minutes, Mr. Bobulinski, so I'm going to try to move quickly, and I'd appreciate if you just answer the questions. You testified that Joe Biden was involved in your business venture related to Oneida Holdings and Hunter Biden. So I want to drill down on the crux of what your testimony is. Oneida Holdings is the business venture that you are referring to, correct?
When I'm referring to what? Can you
Any
re-ask the
business you did with the Bidens?
question? My reference is the Sinohawk Holdings LLC, and Oneida Holdings LLC owned 50% of that.
Right. And Oneida Holdings was the 50% that was on the American side of that Sinohawk deal, right?
It was the 50% that was the Biden side of it. Some of the, James Gillier is not an American, so.
Sorry, fair enough. And it was a joint partnership memorialized in an incorporating document, correct? And it had equal shares divided among 5 partners. Is that right?
Well, I can't.
Well,
Are you asking me about what you're holding up? Because
sir, was it an equal? Were there equal 20% shares among 5 partners?
In what?
Oneida Holdings.
In the final signed documents?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
It is?
Not complicated.
Well, it is because
All right, you're just filibustering now. The answer is, you're filibustering, I get it, that there were 5 partners, Hunter Biden, Jim Biden, Rob Walker, James Gilliar, and you. Each owned 20%. Do you,
Well, they didn't each own, their LLCs owned it, which is a material
do you
difference.
see Joe Biden or an LLC related to Joe Biden on this?
I don't know if Joe Biden owned any of Jim Biden's LLC or Hunter Biden's LLC. I'll leave that up to the committee.
Okay, and do you know when this agreement was entered into?
The poster
Take it
board that
down.
you're holding up or the actual legal document that was signed?
The agreement, sir.
The agreement.
The agreement was signed May 22nd, 2017. Who was the vice president then?
May 22nd, you said? I think it was Mike Pence.
And who was the president?
Donald Trump.
Okay. And when did you first meet Hunter Biden?
I first met Hunter Biden in early 2017.
When? When in 2017?
A day or
The
an
month.
hour
The month is
or a
good.
month? I believe I briefly met him in New York, but I spent the first meeting I had extensive time with him was in early May 2017.
Okay, and that was around the same time that you had those 2 meetings with Joe Biden, right?
It was, but prior to that, I had
So,
numerous
look,
discussions
you have
with
said,
Hunter.
you have said
I had
that-
lawyers
Sir,
working through the documents that you're
Can I
asking.
please reclaim my time, sir? As I
Okay.
said, we have to move quickly here. Unfortunately, in your testimony earlier today, one of my colleagues asked you about that meeting at the bar, 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And you were also asked about that in your transcribed interview, and in neither of your answers did you mention any discussion that you had at that meeting with Joe Biden about the Chinese business venture. Yet, in grandiose terms here today, you have declared that Joe Biden was involved and that you have mountains of irrefutable evidence to support it. So let's look at the mountains of irrefutable evidence. You provided the committee with a screenshot of a text message that is between James Gilliard and you, dated May 11th, 2017. You see this? I don't know if you can see it. If you can't see, it's just you and James Gilliard, though, right? You remember this text message, I'm sure.
Generally, yes.
All right. And in it, Gilliard writes, "Man, you are right. Let's get the company set up, then tell H and family the high stakes and get Joe involved." And 2 days later, Mr. Gilliard sent an email to you, CCing Rob Walker and Hunter Biden, in which he suggested a division of the company and included a proposal of, quote, 10% held by H for the big guy, question mark. You remember that, right?
The infamous email with the big guy? Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Did anyone ever respond to that email?
Yes, they did, numerous times.
Sorry.
Hunter
Did anyone
Biden
ever-
himself did.
Excuse me. You're right.
Well, no, I
Did
think
anyone
that's
e-
important because
Sir,
Hunter
did anyone
Biden has
ever
claimed that he didn't
Can you answer my
respond to it,
questions?
and he responded to it,
The-
I believe,
you're just
3
going to
times.
filibuster. I reclaim my time that's running out, but I will say no one responded to the big guy reference for 10. I would like to get a little extra time, Mr. Chairman, because I want to read what Mr. Gilliard said to the Wall Street Journal. Quote, "I would like to clear up any speculation that former Vice President was involved with the 2017 discussions about our potential business structure. I am unaware of any involvement at any time of the former Vice President. The activity in question never delivered and project revenue. 9 days later, the agreement without Joe Biden was signed. You and James Gilliard wanted Joe Biden involved, and that is why Hunter Biden dumped you and did the business
That's a
on his
blatant
own.
lie,
And
Mr.
I yield
Goldman. You
back.
know better.
Chairman's time's expired.
I yield to Mr. Goldman.
Thank you very much, Ms. Presley. I want to get back to this photograph here that I got cut off from before. You, Mr. Bobulinski, called a number of people liars, 6 FBI agents.
I did
the
not call
Wall
this
Street-
as 6 FBI agents
Sir, I'm
liars.
talking. If you go to page...
Well, you know better, Mr. Goldman.
Okay, go to page 174 of the transcript, and you said it's not an accurate statement. It's a lie related to an FBI report.
I didn't call them
Sorry,
liars.
I
The
don't have time.
statement
Be
is a
quiet.
lie.
Now, this is a photo that was provided by Cassidy Hutchinson after you called her a liar when she said that you met with Mark Meadows and received an envelope. Do you see this photo? Do you acknowledge that is Mark Meadows in the red hat?
Didn't you tell me to be quiet? I don't.
I asked the question, do you acknowledge that that's Mark Meadows?
Maybe your person can walk it closer so I can see it.
Mr. Chairman, would you indulge, just since he's not answering the question,
you're
it's
15
filibustering?
seconds over, but it may help.
Well, let me just ask it very briefly. Is that you and Mr. Meadows buy Secret Service cars with you in a mask?
Are you kidding, Mr. Goldman? I'm sitting 20 feet away from it.
Go
It's
up to
pitch
him,
black.
please. Go right up to him.
And your time's expired. Maybe Mr. Swalwell will give you some time.
Could he just answer the question?
He can answer the question, right?
So what I see in this picture is a Secret Service agent 5 feet from me with a full mask on, and a Secret Service agent sitting in a Cadillac Escalade with all the windows up with a full mask on.
Is that
So you're
you
making it a
talking
big
to
deal.
the person in the red hat?
It's the back of his head. I don't.
Is that you talking to the
Why don't
person
you
in
ask
the
me
red
this,
hat?
Mr. Goldman? Did I meet Mr. Meadows at a Trump rally in
Answer
Rome,
the
Georgia? I
question.
did. I acknowledge
Is
that.
it you?
Mr.
Oh, you
Mr.
do?
Goldman.
I did.
Mr.
Of
Goldman,
course I did.
But Cassidy Hutchinson is a liar.
Cassidy Hutchinson's
Thank
a
you. I
liar
get that.
because
Time
she
has
said
expired.
that he handed me an envelope. Mr. Meadows didn't give me a single thing.
Now, Chair recognizes.
Glad we have the clear
No,
story.
your
Mr. Chairman.
time's expired. Maybe Mr. Swalwell will yield you some time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank our witnesses for being here. I just came in a minute ago, Mr. O'Brien, but you said that the president has the authority to shut down the border right now. Under what authority do you refer to?
As I said, Section 1182F of the Immigration and Nationality Act, which was the statutory provision that was at issue in Trump v. Hawaii. It's a provision that allows the president by proclamation to temporarily suspend the admission of certain classes of aliens into the United States.
So why didn't Donald Trump use that?
He did. That's why the Trump v. Hawaii case went all the way to the Supreme Court.
But then why was it relied on Title 42?
Well, there was a pandemic on. I mean, Title 42 is pitched at a very different set of circumstances. It's specifically at a public health crisis. 1182F is pitched at a general power to manage the border in confrontation of a crisis.
Mr. Hauser, what's your response to that?
Sir, the idea, operationally, from my personal experience, the idea of shutting down the border, one, puts a grave risk of death for the migrants that are being transited towards the border and those that are seeking asylum. Additionally, it does put Border Patrol in sort of operational challenges to sort of continue to control the flow as it would come towards the border. That's not a panacea that would solve the problem that we're seeing across the Western Hemisphere that's causing the problem. You know, notably, an example is if you look at the increase of encounters over the last 2 to 3 years, as we've seen, which are very significant, the delta between the encounter numbers between the Trump administration and the Biden administration really are from 2 or 3 or 4, sort of the large bulk of them from 3 countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Colombia. So for instance, in the last, between fiscal years 22 and 23, 470,000 Cubans were moved into were brought into the country through the asylum process. The idea that you would have had those populations continue to back up in Mexico is a drastic situation that would be a huge humanitarian crisis. Additionally, you look at the idea that the full expulsion of these populations at those numbers are unrealistic operationally.
So, and I think that's an important point because we had the Remain in Mexico policy when there were more than 13,000 migrants who were left on the border in Mexico and suffered from some sort of violent crime, which is part of the reason why President Biden led a bipartisan group to reach a legislative solution to this problem. And one of the things that that bill did was dramatically change the asylum process because I think everyone agrees that a 5 to 7 year lag time on an asylum application is unacceptable. Unfortunately, my Republican colleagues at the direction of Donald Trump decided that they would rather have this chaos at the border than to actually solve some of the problems. I want to turn to a couple things in that. I read, and I assume you would know this, that ICE may have to cut detention beds because it is underfunded. Is that correct?
I read that in the media too as well, sir. That's my only knowledge of that.
Right. And in this bipartisan bill, it would have significantly funded ICE for additional detention beds, right?
That, from the proposal, sir, that I have read in that bipartisan approach, yes. Just to the point I made earlier, of those that the key question, I think, and challenge is the removability of people once their legal pathways are no longer there to stay in this country. You're saying in the last, just for example, in the last 3 to 4 years, 1.2, 1.3 million Cubans have sought asylum here in this country and left communist Cuba. There's some stats that show at least 20% of the Cuban population are on the move across the Western Hemisphere. There's absolutely no way to sort of upend and pull those asylum seekers and refugees and that community up out of their communities and sort of detain them until we have the foreseeable, reasonable ability to remove them back to communist Cuba. That's just for one example, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I thank you for your indulgence, and I think the point that you're making is that we need additional funding in order to comply with the law. Never mind that no court has found the Secretary or the Department of Homeland Security to have violated the law. And in fact, the United States versus Texas case, which my friends on the other side of the aisle like to cite so frequently, actually reversed a district court ruling and held that there must be discretion given to the Secretary, as there has been given to every single department secretary for 27 years. And never mind that every one of those Department of Homeland Security secretaries has interpreted the law the exact same way that Secretary Mayorkas has. Never mind that Republicans have sued him to stop him from implementing the policy changes that the administration has tried to put in effect to address the situation at the border. Never mind that House Republicans are impeaching him for failing to address the problems at the border while he has spent months negotiating a bipartisan bill in the Senate to do just that.
Mr. Chair, I yield 5 minutes to my colleague from New York, Mr. Goldman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Santos. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in support of this resolution to expel George Santos from Congress, as I did in May when I co-sponsored a similar expulsion resolution that the sponsors of today's resolution, my Republican colleagues from New York, did not support. Nothing about the numerous lies that Mr. Santos admitted himself to making in order to deceive his voters into electing him. Nothing about his status as an indicted criminal defendant. Yes, there has been a superseding indictment with more allegations of criminal conduct, but he is still presumed innocent until proven guilty, as my New York friends relied upon in May when they voted to protect George Santos from expulsion. Nothing has changed from the Ethics Committee, even though one of my colleagues from New York said that the Ethics Committee would expedite its investigation and release a report 60 days from the date of that May vote. Well, we are now 175 days since then, and there is no ethics report that would prompt a change of heart. One thing that has changed is that Mr. Santos's campaign treasurer pled guilty to fraud and admitted under oath that she conspired with Mr. Santos to fabricate a non-existent $500,000 loan to his campaign. But the resolution drafted by my friends from New York does not even mention that new fact. You see, I know that the people of New York care about integrity. They care that one of their Republican representatives is a liar and a fraud. They care about the fact that Mr. Santos has done nothing to serve his constituents, yet still provides a loyal and vital vote to the Republican Party. And George Santos hangs like an albatross around the necks of every single Republican from New York. They don't care anymore today about integrity or morality or the reputation of this institution than they did in May when they voted to protect Mr. Santos. They just care about their re-election in 1 year when they know that their support for George Santos is going to be a problem. Mr. Santos should be expelled from Congress today for the same reasons that he should have been expelled in May. He himself admitted to numerous lies that he made during the campaign to deceive the voters. He is only walking these halls and voting on this floor because of those lies. And now we have additional testimony that he conspired to commit fraud.